Greetings, Theta Chi brothers. I'm Alex Warner from the class of 1971 and a member of the House Corporation Board. I was a member of the first group of Theta Chi brothers to move from 22 North Talawanda to 310 North Bishop in January of 1971, the very first group that lived in the new house. Like all of you, Theta Chi has been a major influence on my life. When I think of Miami, one of the first things I think of are my days at Theta Chi. The many friendships I've built over the years and still continue to this day, the personal growth I experienced from being around a set of like-minded brothers, the values instilled in me from Theta Chi, a $5 million project that will have a cost overrun plus or minus 10%. This is not a minor undertaking. Instead, this is a major project that we hope you will consider helping us with. I'd like to spend a few minutes updating you as to where we've been, what's happened over the past few years, and where we're headed. Since 1971, 310 North Bishop has been home to over 1,100 brothers, and another 300 to 400 from the old house at the head of Talawanda Avenue. In those 54 years, there have been no major improvements or upgrades of any sort. This is the house in its original form. No restrooms, no living room, nothing of that nature that we were promised when we first moved in way back in 1971. Prior House Corporation boards have served capably in maintaining the house with the resources they've had available. They've done yeoman's jobs in making a lot with very little. And again, in those 54 years, we have never once asked for any kind of major contribution from alumni. But you know, a chapter house ages differently than just a private residence. It's not just 3 or 4 people living there, it's 30 to 35, possibly 40 young fraternity brothers all residing in one place. A little bit of the background about how this all came to pass here in the last few years. In May of 2022, my wife and I stopped by the house for the first time in a few years. We're down there a lot. We live in Greenville, Ohio, which is just an hour north of campus. My daughters both went to school down there, and so we've been season ticket holders for basketball and football. We spend a lot of time in Oxford, but it had been several years since I actually stopped by the fraternity house and kind of gave it a look. I was disappointed when we showed up. It was the week after move out. School was just out. The actives have moved out for the summer break, and to be honest, very disappointed in what I saw as far as trash and just general debris around. It wasn't so much that there was anything wrong with the facility, other than the fact it just looked like it needed some upkeep and repair. But the more we got into it, the more we thought, you know, I'm not only disappointed in what it looks like right now, I'm disappointed that in 54 years we have done nothing in the way of major improvements and upgrades. And this is something that's been unfulfilled in the promises that we were made when we first moved in January of 1971. I contacted the current House Board, consisting of young men who graduated between the years of 2006 and 2018. Guys who have kind of taken over the responsibility of ensuring that Theta Chi remains a viable presence on the Miami campus. I contacted them and attended their annual meeting in September of 2022. And after talking to them, realized that maybe I could help be part of the solution and get rid of some of this problem that has been facing us for so long. And looking ahead, what has happened is, since that first meeting in September of 22, we had a meeting in the spring of 23 with several alumni from the 70s. Dr. Kyle Morgan, who's the House Corporation Board President, flew in from Memphis to meet with that group of 5 or 6 individuals. We spent a lot of time discussing the Greek future on campus at Miami. Of course, Miami known as the mother of fraternities. And talking several times with Interfraternity Council representatives, we found out that still over 33%, over a third of the campus undergraduates are part of the Greek system. Miami is very involved in maintaining that reputation we talked about as mother of fraternities, and look forward to many, many years of prosperous Greek system down in Oxford. At that time, this group decided that it was important to improve the physical facility to go hand in hand with the rejuvenation of the traditions, the values, and the culture of Theta Chi, which we felt has waned over the years. By putting these two together at the same time, we think we can continue to keep Theta Chi as one of the top tier fraternities in Oxford at this time. Next thing we did, we conducted a survey of both the active chapter and alumni as to what would be desirable in a new home. It was interesting, some of the results from these studies. A lot of the actives we asked, would you be interested in us relocating someplace else? Vast majority overwhelmingly said they like the permanent spot we have at the end of 310 North Bishop at this present time. They also were very, very concerned about losing what they consider, and actually is, the primary social area, or one of the best social areas on campus, that social room on the main floor. House property manager Jim O'Donnell and I then met in the spring of 23 for an inspection of the house with a group of architects, contractors, engineers, and HVAC and plumbing representatives. It was interesting going through the house, the physical facility, with these professionals. We had several questions we wanted answered. Would it be better to raise the existing structure or and build new? Raise and build new. Or would it be better to renovate what we had and expand? Would it be better just to sell the entire building and property and look toward buying a new building to house Theta Chi chapter on Miami's campus? As we went through all of these, it became obvious that the unanimous decision of all these professionals was, why would we want to raise a building that is so solid, something so sound that, in the words of several of them, they said, hey, you know, if there's a tornado that comes through Oxford, we want to be in this building. Even if there's a nuclear attack, one of them joked, this is where I want to be because it is so solid in its construction. So the plan was made to keep the structure as is, renovate and expand. If we raised the entire structure and started from scratch, we'd be $1 million in debt and come right back to where we were to start with. So we're going to keep the structure as is, renovate it, and then expand it. That expansion, as I said, will be 4,000 square feet added onto the side of the building to go with the existing 11,000 square feet. In the summer of 23, national headquarters of Theta Chi in Indianapolis hosted over 30 chapters from around the country who were basically in the same or similar situation we're in, wanting to know what can be done to expand or renovate existing structures. Over half of the fraternity houses in the United States at this time are over 75 years old, and so a lot of different fraternities, as well as Theta Chi, are facing the same situation. What we did at this time, after gathering information from that weekend of seminars in Indianapolis, what we did was we contacted 3 different architectural firms from Dayton, Columbus, and here in Oxford itself. From these 3, after going over their plans and their concept ideas, as well as proposals for different fee structures and so forth, we decided to go with Alt Architecture, that's A-L-T, Alt Architecture from the Dayton area, with Brian Weaver as the chief and lead architect. Assisting Brian will be Brandon Pix, a Theta Chi graduate of 2016 from Gamma Kappa, who is in Charlotte, North Carolina, and will serve as advisory assistant to Brian Weaver. We thought that Alt Architecture gave us the best concept and the best overall scheme as far as house plans. For the general contractor, we're going with Brackett Builders from the Dayton and Columbus area. Brackett Builders has been around since 1983. They do over $130 million in average revenue per year, and they have developed over 15 million square feet of residential and commercial space over the years. They hold an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and is an organization that really inspires faith from Jim O'Donnell, myself, and the rest of the board in the quality of the workmanship, the reasonableness of their fees, and just their overall integrity. Brackett Builders from Dayton and Columbus. Finally, we decided we would have to have a fundraising group to help on what will be a capital campaign. A Theta Chi brother from the University of Alabama heads up Column's fundraising. This is out of the Atlanta area, and they will be holding the capital campaign. We rely on them heavily, and we hope you will give consideration to when they contact you here in the near future. Anyhow, after many months of discussion, thoughts, what ifs, why nots, the board, in conjunction with the architects, have come up with floor plans we'd like to explain a little bit to you about now. So let's take a look at where we're headed with the floor plans. We had three guiding principles as we went through this process. The first was we wanted to be able to provide a Theta Chi chapter house that we'd want our sons and or grandsons to reside in. We wanted a structure that, while not fancy, will meet basic needs and yet be very suitable for what we desire in a facility. The second principle is we want to be competitive with off-campus housing because we want to retain upper-class brothers. Right now it seems like mostly, and not only Theta Chi but other fraternity houses, they have mostly sophomores living in the house. We feel it's vitally important to the culture of Theta Chi and Gamma Kappa in particular that we have juniors and seniors to provide some of that leadership that maybe we feel has been lacking over the last few years. To do this, we have to come up with a facility that is competitive with what the upperclassmen find in apartments and off-campus housing. Finally, the third thing, and probably one of the more important things as far as the alumni are concerned, for a long time we've never had a place or a base for alumni to feel welcome to come home to Miami. We, in this new plan, will have room for memorabilia. We're going to have a place for brothers to meet. We're going to have a place for brothers to reminisce, a place that alumni brothers want to come back on campus and be proud of the kind of facility that we're going to be able to provide. So those were our three guiding principles. A house for our sons and grandsons, something we want them to be able to live in. A place to be competitive with off-campus housing for upper-class brothers. And again, a home for alumni brothers. We feel we've met all these, and we will take a look here at some of the plans now. We'll be back in just a minute and take a look at three different steps as this new plan comes together. First of all, let's take a look at the new addition. This new addition will be to the side of the building as you look at the front of the box, as it's so called now. This new addition will be graded down level with the sidewalk out front. In doing this, this will give us the ability to go straight from the first floor of the new addition straight into the landings of the stairwell and the social area of the existing structure. This will make us ADA compliant, something we haven't been in the past 54 years. This new addition, as I said earlier, will be around 4,000 square feet and will be 2 stories tall. The main floor will consist of a study library area, a memorabilia area, finally restrooms for women. We'll have a women and men's restroom on the first floor, as well as 6 bedrooms, 2 on the first floor and 4 more on the second floor. There will be no steps. As I mentioned, this will head directly into the landing areas of the stairwell and the social area in the existing structure. As you walk in the front doors, there'll be a nice front porch across the front, as you can see from the picture here. That will open up where you walk straight through the front doors and can go straight through out the back into the grassy area off to the side there. Eventually, we hope that that'll turn into some kind of a patio situation, but not here in the immediate future. That's the main floor of the structure that's going to be added on. The second floor, there will be 4 individual bedrooms. Each one will be sharing a bathroom with one other person. So 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. I might mention on that first floor then, in addition to the women and men's restroom, we will have 2 ADA compliant rooms, each with their own bathroom facilities. In case we don't need those for anybody that's handicapped in any sense, those will become hopefully the rooms for the president as well as the chapter treasurer. Now let's take a look at the existing structure where the renovation is going to take place. The main floor, the social area and kitchen area, is going to be a complete upgrade, as is everything else, as well as the advisor suite. The kitchen will be expanded, and they'll include enough new equipment that we also hope eventually to be able to hold a full meal service in that particular area. The advisor suite is going to be upgraded to be similar to that of an extended stay suite in a upper class hotel. This will include a kitchenette area and so forth. Everything on this floor, including the social area, as well as the entire existing structure, is going to be upgraded with new energy efficient windows, all new plumbing, electrical, Wi-Fi, fire suppression systems. In other words, everything is going to be brought up to code. This will be on the first floor, and we want to maintain that large social area. On the second and third floors, you're going to find that the existing second floor of the old building will feed directly into the second floor of the new structure. This is important. Again, no steps. It'll walk right straight through. The new addition, in addition to those bedrooms we talked about, will also have a common area. The second and third floor are going to find laundries on both of those, washer and dryer for both the second and for the third floor. Each of the individual rooms will have something you'll find similar to the hotels, where under window heating and air conditioning units will be. That'll be individually climate controlled rooms for all of those residence rooms on that second and third floor. The common areas then will have central heat as well as air conditioning. Another thing we're going to do is on the third floor, that big room at the top of the steps, the one that goes across the front of the building, that will be combined with the room beside it. We're going to put those two together, and that'll become a large commons area. We feel it's very important to have that commons area that so many of us have missed for so many years, and that'll be as you walk in the stairwell and into the third floor addition. The second and third floor restrooms, those will all get combined. Instead of two restrooms on each floor, we're going to combine those into one big one on each floor, individual shower stalls, and of course upgraded plumbing, something that has kind of plagued the house since it was first built in the 1970s. Let's move on a little bit more here to the next page here of the things we're linking and look at. And this will be the anticipated time frame. Now this is anticipated. This is what we hope for. A lot of it's going to depend on the results of this capital campaign that we'll talk about in just a little bit. What we'd like to have done is by the end of the winter term in May of 25, at that point in time, we hope to be able to move all our actives out and turn it over to the contractors to start renovation on the existing structure as well as construction of the new addition. To do that, we will have to find temporary housing on campus in the form of an abandoned, or I should say available, fraternity house, and we'll move our actives into that for 2 years. We have several possibilities already lined up, and we think we'll be able to keep our active chapter alive and strong for those 2 years during the construction process. Our anticipated move-in date then, as we come back to the new facility, will be in August of 27. So you can see we're looking at just a little over a 2-year process of renovation and addition. Now we're going to be back and take a look at something else here as we talk to some of our active brothers here, as well as property manager Jim O'Donnell and our live-in house advisor LaDonna Taylor. Have 4 actives here residing in the house here at 310 North Bishop. We're going to have each of them introduce themselves, where they're from, what their major is, as well as what their position is in the house at the present time. I want you guys all to remember, all you alum out there, these are 19 and 20-year-olds. They have the same dreams, aspirations, and probably get in the same trouble that all of us did when we were sophomores and juniors here at Gamma Kappa chapter. So I'm going to pass it over here, and we'll let this young man present himself, and then we'll move it on down the line.
Hello, I am Colin Westberg. I'm the assistant house manager. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and my major is in finance.
Hello, my name is Michael Vetta. I am from Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm the social chair, and my major is finance.
My name is Jamie Christini. I'm the chapter president of Theta Chi here. I'm an accounting major from Wilton, Connecticut.
My name is Jake Scrudado. I'm the vice president here, and I'm from New Jersey.
And your major?
My major is finance.
Well, we got a lot of finance majors here and accountants, so the former school of business is doing well, all right? Okay, let me ask you guys this. So we know we don't, at the present time, have the greatest physical structure. compared to a lot of the houses on campus. What was it that brought you or attracted you to Theta Chi?
What attracted me here the most were the people and the culture. I just loved hanging out with the guys and spending time with them.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. I just feel like the people here were better than everywhere else, and I just fit in here more.
All right.
For me, I figured it wasn't as much about the house, it was about the people in the house. And that's one of the greatest things I took away from my pledgeship here. I met a lot of great people living in the house, and I met a lot of great people in my pledge class as well.
Kind of building on what everyone else said, everyone here, especially the upperclassmen, they're all here to help you, whether it's in the classroom or outside, just in life in general. Everyone's there for you. Everyone wants to support you, and everyone wants to see you succeed.
Folks, I tell you, these are all good guys. This is a real strong sophomore class we have here this year. And we're going to talk about their future here in the next couple years, as well as the future of how the house is going to be. But before we do that, we're going to bring in Jim O'Donnell. Jim O'Donnell's the property manager here that kind of oversees everything that has to do with the physical plan itself. And guys, I expect you back here in just a few minutes, and we'll talk some more, okay? So we'll bring Jim in. Jim, come on in here if you would. This is Jim O'Donnell. And Jim, you've been property manager for Theta Chi how long now?
Been doing this for about 6 years here.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you've seen your share of things, haven't you?
I have, and I'm excited about the potential of what we're going to be doing here with the house, bringing it up to date, adding on to it, and just becoming more of a vital point here in Oxford. We have to be competitive today, market, in order to continue to attract the quality of young men that we have now.
Yeah, and I know you've been over here off and on, all the problems and headaches, and yet things are hanging in there for a facility that in 54 years, no major improvements.
Exactly, and it's time. We need to do it now. We need to be ready for the future and take it to the next 50 years so that we're ready to go.
Yep. This has been Jim O'Donnell, and thanks for stopping by. Jim made a special trip up to Oxford to put his 2 cents in. Now we're going to bring in a live-in house advisor. This is LaDonna Taylor, and Miami requires if sophomores are going to live off campus in fraternity housing, there has to be a live-in advisor. And this lady's been here. This is year number 3, right, LaDonna?
3. So I moved in August of 22, and the first time I saw the house, we couldn't get in the back door. And there was furniture and trash about waist high on me, and never been around Greek life. I personally had gone to a Bible college, and I walked in and said, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to make it happen. And by the time 4 or 5 weeks had rolled around, I had in my mind a whole 5-year plan. And that first year it was Jack Jones and Max Rosenthal and Harrison, and those 3 guys carried us that year. And the things and the principles that we laid the foundation on that year, we have continued to build on. We have made major changes and major improvements every single year, and it is so exciting to watch how we have built on those foundations every year. Last year, we did a wonderful, amazing job with Tommy Burrell and Stewie Stewart Reed, and we maintained last year. After big, huge changes, sometimes it's important just to hold that line and maintain, and we did a good job of maintaining. And this year, I couldn't have asked for a better house. I call them the Incredibles. Jake and Jamie have been more than I could have asked for if I would have handpicked them. We have surpassed my expectations for this year already, and we're not even to October.
Yeah. And we've got to tell you, the House Corporation Board has just been thrilled to death, not only with the work Jim O'Donnell's done, but LaDonna's really come in, and in her 3rd year, we really appreciate all her efforts because she has brought this house along quite a ways. And I know some concerns out there on some of you alumni's part. What do these actives do? What do we do? The house is, no, these kids are good. And I don't mean kids, these young men have really done a nice job, and LaDonna's a big part of that, and we certainly appreciate LaDonna being here. I want to remind you folks that think back on your days as members of Theta Chi here at Miami. Think how that helped develop you into the successful careers and successful people you've become. One of my all-time favorite expressions is, and this applies to alumni who never lived in this house, but lived up on 22 North Talawanda. One of my fraternity brothers from the class of 1969 said, Theta Chi made him the man he is today. And that's what we're trying to do here, is bring in quality young men, provide them with adequate facility to become resolute men of Theta Chi and restore the traditions and values of the culture of our fraternity. One thing I want to leave you with, and then we're going to bring the young actives back in here. One thing, there's a song, and I'm not going to sing it. I don't want to embarrass myself, but my pledge class used this when we were going to pledge meetings every year. It goes, "We are Theta Chi in brotherhood of closest tie. Our oath will never break. We'll always stand by sword and stake. From coast to coast, we give this toast, and may it ever be our boast. We will always have a helping hand for Theta Chi." We're counting on you alumni brothers out there to help us with this project. Guys, if you come back in here, this is vital to the survival of Gamma Kappa here at Miami University. We want to leave you with these thoughts as we sign off here, and we certainly appreciate you taking the time to do this. One thing we want to let you folks know out there is, guys, we are Theta Chi. In the future, you will be contacted by Column's fundraising group. Some of you have already done this as part of an earlier process. You will be contacted in different ways. You'll be contacted by brothers. You'll be contacted by some of the representatives from Column's fundraising. But the main thing is this. In over 54 years, we have never once asked any alumni to contribute to an upgrade, a renovation, or expansion of the Theta Chi house at 310 North Bishop. We can do this. It's a big project. As mentioned, we're looking at $5 million plus or minus 10%. We can make this project a reality that will further develop resolute men of Theta Chi. We know we have the alumni out there. We know we have the means to do this. We hope you will join us. This is a much needed project that will ensure the viability of Theta Chi for years to come. Somebody paid it forward for all of us to reside in the house at 310 North Bishop. Now it's our turn to do the same thing for future brothers of Theta Chi. Thank you for your time and listening to this. Thank you for your consideration of what we're asking. And most importantly, thank you for any help you can provide us. We know we can get this done as we pay it forward. If you have other questions, you'll see a list of House Corporation board members and their email addresses. We will be glad to answer any questions that you might have about this worthwhile project. Again, I'm Alex Warner from the class of 1971. Thanks again for listening, and we hope that you're able to give us your support.